I want to start today with a scenario that I think is going to feel, well, uncomfortably familiar. Honestly, I lived this exact scenario about 3 nights ago. So imagine you have spent the entire day just being an absolute weapon of productivity.
You've been on fire.
Completely. You've crushed a presentation, you've navigated a minefield of passive-aggressive emails, maybe you've cracked a complex coding problem. You have been a high-performing decision-making machine for 10 straight hours.
You were the picture of competence.
Right. And then you walk through your front door, you drop your bag, you know you're hungry, you open a food delivery app, and suddenly you just crash.
Nothing.
Complete paralysis. You are staring at the choice between pizza and Thai food, and it feels like you are trying to solve quantum physics.
It's an impossible task.
It physically feels impossible. You end up scrolling for 45 minutes until you're too tired to eat, so you just have a slice of toast and stare at the wall. Why does that happen? Why do we go from CEO of the world to functionally frozen the second the workday ends?
It is the universal paradox of the modern knowledge worker, isn't it? And it's so frustrating. You feel like you should be able to handle a simple dinner choice.
Of course.
But if we look at the stack of research we've pulled for this deep dive, the headline is very clear. This isn't a character flaw. You aren't lazy. You are... well, you're biologically bankrupt.
And that is really the mission for this deep dive. We are looking at a stack of research covering decision fatigue, the default mode network, and this dark little habit called revenge bedtime procrastination. We want to basically write you a permission slip.
But a permission slip based on hard neuroscience, not just, self-care fluff. Yeah. We're going to look at why your brain defaults to doom scrolling, why doing nothing is actually a massively busy state for your brain.
And how to stop relying on willpower.
Exactly. How to stop relying on willpower to get rest. Because if you're relying on willpower at 8 p.m., you've already lost.
So let's unpack this properly, because I think we carry a huge amount of guilt about this. We think, I was productive all day. Why am I being such a slob now? But the sources suggest we're looking at the fuel tank all wrong.
We are. To understand why you freeze up at dinner time, we have to look at the biology of the brain's executive system.
Okay.
We need to talk about 2 specific areas. The dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, let's just call it the DLPFC.
Good idea.
And the anterior cingulate cortex, or the ACC.
Okay, let's double-click on those. No jargon without translation. What are these guys actually doing during my workday?
Think of the DLPFC as your brain's CEO. It handles top-down control, planning, complex analysis.
The big picture stuff.
The big picture, long-term goals. It's the part of you that writes the strategy document. The ACC, on the other hand, is your conflict monitor.
Conflict monitor?
Yes. It's essentially a security guard watching the screens. It's constantly checking, is what I'm doing right now matching what I should be doing?
Oh, okay.
So if you're trying to work, but you get the urge to check Instagram, the ACC flags that conflict and signals the CEO to get back on track.
So when I'm at work navigating meetings and staying focused, these two are running hot.
They're burning massive amounts of energy. And here's the thing people forget. The brain is expensive.
Right.
It's only about 2% of your body weight, but it consumes roughly 20% of your metabolic energy.
Wow.
So after hours of sustained cognitive work meetings, emotional regulation, suppressing the urge to scream at a colleague, these systems become compromised. This is what we call decision fatigue or ego depletion.
So it's not just a metaphor. The battery actually drains.
That's very real. The conflict monitor, the ACC, essentially gets tired and, well, it falls asleep at the desk. It stops signaling the discrepancy between I should go to bed and I am currently staring at the wall.
That explains the zombie mode. But the research from Inslick's framework in our notes adds a really interesting nuance here.
Yes, it does.
It suggests that it's not just that the battery is empty, it's that the brain actively changes its priorities.
Right. This is the motivational shift. It's fascinating. It's not just that you can't focus. It's that your brain decides it no longer wants to. It shifts from control motivation, doing hard, disciplined things, to impulse motivation, which is seeking immediate gratification and conservation of energy.
So the brain basically says, I have done my shift. I am clocking out. From now on, I am only interested in...
It's the path of least resistance.
Exactly. And this brings us to the great battle of the evening, the Netflix versus scrolling battle.
Mm-hmm.
Because logically, we all know that watching a great film, say Oppenheimer or something substantial, is better quality rest than scrolling TikTok for 2 hours.
Of course.
But when we're in that depleted state, the movie feels like work.
It feels like climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
Because biologically, watching a movie is work. Think about it. To watch a film, you have to use your working memory to follow the plot. You have to process emotional nuance.
You have to remember who that character was from the first scene.
And before you even start,
You have to choose the movie.
and choice is the enemy when you have decision fatigue.
Precisely.
Choosing requires comparing options, weighing pros and cons. That engages the very executive functions, the DLPFC, that are already exhausted.
Whereas scrolling.
Scrolling requires zero executive function.
Right.
It is what researchers call ballistic action.
Ballistic action.
You flick your thumb. That's it. There is no start point, no end point, no plot to follow.
But hold on, I want to push back on this a bit because when I'm doom scrolling, it feels like I'm resting.
It goes, yeah.
I'm lying on the sofa, I'm not moving, I'm zoning out. Why do the researchers say this isn't rest? Because it feels like my brain is off.
It feels like it's off, but it's actually being hijacked. The sources point out something, well, terrifying about why we doom scroll. It relies on a mechanism called variable ratio reinforcement.
Okay, unpack that. Is that the slot machine thing?
It's exactly the slot machine mechanic. Think about a vending machine. That's fixed ratio. You put money in, you get a chocolate bar.
Predictable.
Predictable. Boring. You wouldn't stand in front of a vending machine for 2 hours putting coins in.
Unless I was really, really hungry. But point taken.
But a slot machine. You pull the lever. Maybe you win. Maybe you lose.
Yeah.
Maybe you win it big. You don't know. Social media is a slot machine. Is the next post going to be funny? Is it going to be a rage bait political post? Is it going to be a photo of your ex? You don't know.
It's the uncertainty that hooks you.
That uncertainty triggers dopamine in a way that bypasses your tired executive brain entirely. Your control motivation is offline, so your brain is hunting for easy dopamine.
And here's the kicker, I suppose, regarding the rest misconception.
Yes, the notes mention the amygdala's role here too.
The fear center.
The threat and emotion center. A lot of scrolling is doom scrolling. You see bad news, or someone living a better life than you, or something that makes you angry.
Right.
This activates the amygdala via bottom-up processing. It grabs your attention automatically. You don't need willpower to look at a car crash.
So when you're tired, your CEO is asleep.
But your amygdala is wide awake and screaming at the screen. You aren't resting. You're overstimulating your emotional centers while your logic centers are offline.
That is, well, that's frighteningly validating. It explains why I feel gross after 2 hours of scrolling, whereas I feel refreshed after a nap or a walk.
Exactly.
But this leads to the big question. If scrolling is junk food for the brain, what is the healthy vegetable? What is actual biological rest?
This is the pivot point. This is the aha moment of the research. We tend to think that doing nothing, like staring out a window or just sitting in a chair, means our brains are inactive.
Wasted time.
We think it's wasted time.
Oh.
But the neuroscience shows the exact opposite.
This is where we talk about the default mode network, the DMN.
The DMN. This is a network of brain regions that lights up only when you stop focusing on the outside world. When you disengage from tasks, the DMN switches on. And it is not idle. It is doing essential maintenance.
I love that metaphor, essential maintenance. So when I'm just staring into space waiting for the kettle to boil, what is my brain actually doing?
3 massive things that simply cannot happen when you are focused. First, and most importantly for anyone studying or learning, memory consolidation. Specifically, something called hippocampal replay.
Which sounds like a very cool band name, or maybe a sci-fi move.
It does, but it's crucial. During the day, your hippocampus, the memory center, is collecting information.
Right.
But it's temporary storage, like RAM in a computer. When you rest, and I mean real rest, DMN rest, the brain literally replays those neural patterns at high speed to move them into long-term storage in the cortex.
So if I don't give my brain that downtime...
The save doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Or it happens poorly. If you finish a study session and immediately jump on TikTok, you are interfering with that replay process.
You are overwriting the data.
Pretty much.
That is huge. So doing nothing is literally studying.
In a biological sense, yes. The second thing the DMN does is future planning and autobiographical processing. Helps you make sense of who you are. And third, it generates creativity.
Right.
You know how you get your best ideas in the shower?
Always. Or whilst driving on a quiet road.
That's the DMN. Because you aren't trying to solve the problem, the executive brain steps back, and the DMN starts connecting disparate dots that your focused brain missed. It's lateral thinking.
But here's the trap, and I want to be really clear on this because I think I'm guilty of it. Can I activate the DMN while listening to a podcast or scrolling Twitter?
No. And that is the hard truth. You cannot engage the default mode network while you are processing external information. If you are reading a tweet, looking at a photo, or listening to us right now, your attention is focused outward. It is stimulus-driven. The DMN requires internal focus.
You literally cannot rest in the sense of memory repair and creativity while consuming content.
No. Scrolling is processing. It's junk food processing, but it requires cognitive load. This explains the vacation paradox mentioned in the source material.
Oh, this one hit home. Why we go on holiday but don't actually recover.
Exactly. There's a model called the abstraction habituation model. Basically, if you are lying on a beach in Bali, but your mind is still chewing on abstract work problems,
Or checking your emails.
or reading stressful news on your phone, you aren't resting. You're just worrying in a nicer location.
So what does DMN activation actually look like, practically?
True recovery requires what researchers call soft fascination.
Soft fascination. That sounds lovely.
It's perfect. It refers to environments or activities that hold your attention gently without demanding effort.
Like what?
Looking at nature, watching a fire, watching the ocean, walking the dog without headphones. It engages the brain just enough to stop you from ruminating on work, but not enough to shut down the DMN.
I feel like we've lost the art of that. Soft fascination feels like something we've optimized out of our lives.
We have. We've filled every single gap with content.
I want to move to something that feels like the darker cousin of decision fatigue. We've talked about why we freeze and why we need to zone out, but what about when we actively sabotage our sleep?
You're talking about revenge bedtime procrastination.
I am. And I need you to explain this because it makes no logical sense. The phenomenon where you stay up until 2 a.m. watching videos you don't even like, knowing you'll be absolutely wrecked tomorrow. Why do we do this to ourselves?
The word revenge is key here. It sounds dramatic, but it's accurate. The psychological driver isn't actually about the content you're watching.
Yeah.
It is about a lack of autonomy.
Autonomy, so it's a control issue.
It is entirely a control issue. Think about the day we described at the start. You spent 10 hours answering to other people, your boss, your clients, your kids, your inbox. You've had zero agency.
But didn't own your day.
Not one bit of it.
So the night comes along.
And your brain makes a desperate bid for control. The subconscious logic is, I didn't own my day, so I will own my night.
Right.
Going to sleep feels like admitting the day is over and tomorrow's grind is starting. Staying up feels like stealing time back.
I will not go to sleep because that's what a responsible worker drone would do.
Exactly. It feels like a tiny rebellion. But the neurobiological cost is massive. We talked about the slot machine effect earlier. When you do this, you are creating a cycle of dopamine desensitization.
You're just flooding a tired brain with cheap dopamine?
Yes, which means you need more and more stimulation to feel anything, right?
Right.
And you deplete your dopamine reserves. So you wake up the next day not just tired from lack of sleep, but with a dopamine hangover. Your impulse control is lower, your motivation is lower.
Which makes your workday harder, which makes you feel like you have even less autonomy.
So you take revenge again the next night. It is a vicious, self-reinforcing loop.
And your ACC, the conflict monitor, is completely offline by this point.
It is. So you don't even realize you're doing it until it's 3 a.m.
Okay, so we've painted a pretty grim picture. We're frozen, we're depleted, we're dopamine addicted, and we're taking revenge on our future selves.
It sounds bad when you put it like that.
How do we break it? And please, I beg you, do not tell me just have more self-discipline. Because we've already established my discipline battery is dead by 6 p.m.
And that is the most important takeaway from the solution section of our research. Do not rely on willpower.
Thank you.
Willpower is the very resource that you have exhausted. If your strategy relies on you being strong or making a good choice at 9 p.m., you will fail. The tank is empty.
So if I can't use willpower, what do I use?
You use systems. You have to design the environment so the choice is made for you.
Okay.
We have 3 layers of systems from the research. The first one comes from behavioral economics, artificial barriers, or positive friction.
This is the Thaler idea, right? Choice architecture?
Yes. Richard Thaler's work. Our brains are efficient or, well, lazy. They crave automaticity.
Right.
If your phone is in your hand or pocket, scrolling is automatic. It's system 1 thinking fast, unconscious. If you put your phone in a drawer in the kitchen,
Or a blocker app.
or put a blocker app on it, Suddenly getting it requires system 2 deliberate effort.
It sounds so simple, but I've actually tried this. I started charging my phone in the hallway instead of on the bedside table.
Yeah.
And the friction of just having to get out of bed to check it is usually enough to stop me.
Exactly. You are interrupting the loop. You aren't using willpower to resist. You're using physics to delay. You want to increase the activation energy required for the bad habit and decrease it for the good habit.
So put the remote control in a drawer, put a book on your pillow.
Simple things like that.
Okay, solution 2. This one references Cal Newport, the Shutdown Ritual. Now, I'll be honest, when I read this, it sounded a bit formal.
It is formal, but it solves a specific biological problem. The Zeigarnik effect states that our brains hold on to unfinished tasks. They loop in the background, chewing up resources.
That feeling of, did I send that email? Did I finish that slide?
Precisely. That open loop prevents the DMN from kicking in properly because the executive brain is still trying to hold on to the data.
Right.
A shutdown ritual is a formal closing of those loops.
So walk us through the steps. What does it actually look like?
It takes about 10 minutes at the end of the workday. Step 1. Review your inbox and task list to ensure nothing urgent is on fire.
Okay.
Step 2. Write down the plan for tomorrow. This is key. Your brain can let go of the worry if it knows the plan is written down.
It's outsourcing the memory.
Right. And then step 3, and this is the part people skip because it feels weird. You say a termination phrase. Newport suggests, I am done for today, or shutdown complete.
Okay, play devil's advocate here. If I'm in my apartment alone and I say shutdown complete out loud, I'm going to feel like a complete lunatic.
You will.
Does it really have to be out loud?
It does feel silly. But yes, the auditory cue helps. It creates a ritualistic boundary. It signals to your nervous system that the threat of work is over.
I see.
It allows the parasympathetic nervous system,
Yeah.
the rest and digest mode, to actually engage. Without a hard stop, the brain just kind of drifts into the evening, keeping the work software running in the background.
It's like shutting down the server so it doesn't overheat. I guess feeling a bit silly is a small price to pay for actually relaxing. Now, the third solution is a bit deeper. It's about identity reframing.
This addresses the guilt. High performers, the people listening to this, often feel guilty when they aren't producing. They view rest as cheating or laziness.
I'll rest when I'm dead, or I'll rest when I earn it.
Right. But looking to the science we've just discussed, the hippocampal replay, the DMN maintenance, we need to reframe rest.
Okay.
Rest is not the absence of work. Rest is a productive state.
That's the bumper sticker. Rest is a productive state.
But you have to truly believe it. It is where memory is stored. It is where creativity happens. So the suggested identity shift is moving from I am someone who works endlessly to I am someone who is sustainable.
I am someone who is sustainable. That's actually quite hard to swallow in a hustle culture.
It is. But think about elite athletes. A marathon runner doesn't feel guilty about their recovery days.
No, of course not.
They know the recovery is when the muscle builds. Mental work is no different. You treat your downtime with the same professional respect you treat your meetings.
You wouldn't skip a client meeting, don't skip your DMN maintenance.
Exactly.
That is a powerful shift. Because if you aren't sustainable, you eventually stop being productive anyway. The burnout takes you out of the game.
The stats on burnout are unequivocal. The brain will take the rest eventually. You can choose to take it now pleasantly, or the brain will take it later forcefully.
So let's recap the journey we've been on, because we've covered a lot of ground. We started with the why decision fatigue. The reason you can't pick a dinner is because your CEO, the DLPFC, has gone home, and your security guard, the ACC, is asleep.
And because of that, you slide into the path of least resistance, which is usually doom-scrolling, a dopamine slot machine that bypasses your will and creates a false sense of rest while actually agitating your amygdala.
But we learned that the alternative shouldn't just be more work, it needs to be DMN time. Essential maintenance. Staring out the window, letting the brain wander, engaging in soft fascination. It's not lazy, it's data processing.
And to get there, we have to stop revenge procrastinating and start building systems. Use friction, hide the phone. Use a shutdown ritual, close the loops so you can detach.
And reframe your identity. You aren't lazy, you are doing maintenance.
That's it.
It really changes how you look at a quiet evening. It stops being wasted time and starts being investment time.
Absolutely.
I want to leave the listener with one final thought from the source material that I found really provocative. It's the concept of anti-goals.
Oh, I love this concept.
We always set goals for what we want to achieve. I will read 10 pages, I will work out, but maybe we need goals for what we won't do.
Boundaries.
Or rather, boundaries. The thought is, what if the most productive thing you can do tonight is literally stare out the window for 20 minutes?
Just let the default mode network connect the dots.
Exactly. Give your brain the space to actually be a brain, not just a processing unit for other people's content.
It's the only way to get your agency back.
So that's the challenge for tonight. Try to do nothing. Properly nothing, and see what happens. That's the deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Take care.